Hey guys, it's Skybird, and today's video is all about this guy, this beautiful boy right here. We're going to be doing two different reviews in this video. One of this one and one for the Gadunka STARS, but that'll be somewhere towards the middle to end of the video, so you'll have to stay tuned for it. With that said though, Gadunka is a lovely set. Funny thing is, when he came out originally, I wasn't a huge fan of him. Mostly he just kind of felt silly to me, right? But as I've grown older, I've realized how important the silly side of Lego is, right? And it's not to say that like I was all about edgy Bionicle and stuff like that. I was quite the opposite. I loved 2001 ever since I was a kid. I didn't really care for 2006, 7, 8, and so on. Like I bought the sets and I enjoyed them, but the story got so edgy and dark and gritty. It just wasn't my thing. And I think that there is a strict importance specifically to the charm that there is in silly stuff. And Gadunka is one of those silly characters, basically a head on feet, right? And so the character himself, this isn't really a review of this character, but essentially is this build here, except I gave him glow-in-the-dark shoulders, because why not, right? With that said, though, it's basically, yeah, like I said, it's just a head, Lego figuring out how the hell they can get rid of 3 of these torsos in one set, and some weirdly, definitely not Mata blue-colored lift arms that are super fragile. In fact, all of the blue pieces in this set, all of the standard blue pieces in this set are fragile. Surprisingly, my sockets have held up, but I know that they do snap, unfortunately, and I've had at least one of these Hordika arms snap. In fact, it's back there, so I've got like 4 of these Hordika arms in blue. Such a strange recolor for this set also, to give it blue Hordika arms of all things, and not like a blue one of these torso armor pieces. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. At least one of the things we'll be doing is we'll be changing out 2 of the parts on Gadunka for some recolors to really embrace his color scheme here, which is the blue, dark blue, and a hint of red with a 3-forked tongue, which is interesting. Fun fact too, some of these Gadunka sets come with an Entourage claw that's more of like a pinkish red, which is interesting. It's not intentional by any means, but I've had one in the past that had something like that, and it's kind of cool. Entourage himself can also come with these in 2008 in that pinkish hue or in the standard Paraka red. So we're going to be using bootlegs today to achieve this, and for the tongue, we're going to be using a Mata red Metru foot. I was going to say Mata foot. But yeah, this will be the tongue. It's already tongue shaped, and now it is bright red instead of dark red. So literally just a 1-for-1 swap of those pieces, throwing this in place of the 3-toed Paraka foot in here, and now his tongue is bright red, and I love it. I think it's great. It's even better too because it hides pretty well in front of the teeth there, but when it opens up, it's right there in front of you. It's super bright. The other thing we'll be doing, though, is changing out this armor, as mentioned, as hinted at, for blue armor as well. Also a bootleg piece. Yes, I'm just showing off. That's the whole point of the video. But no, that just helps to complete the blue on the front side of the character, and I think ties it together a little bit better. I still like the set as a whole. It was one of only a handful of sets to give us this piece in Metro Blue, so if you didn't get the Holly Mari, or if she didn't die, or if you threw her away out of frustration of lime joints, you got those shoulder pads here as well. And also was one of, at the time, only 2 sets to include these feet in silver as well. So definitely an interesting set. Comes with a lot of pieces, and again, it's all of your blue mocking needs, because that's a lot of Anika torsos. But without further ado, you guys are here for one very specific reason, and I do have to preface this by saying his arm fell off, and I'm so sad because I'm gonna go on a rant about these STARS arms here in a minute, STARS pieces in general. But here he is, our beautiful little Gadunkling. If you want to see him next to Gadunka, by the way. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. So this was a part of a challenge that I participated in a couple of years ago. I think it was the Legend Reborn that ran the challenge. It was a collaboration. And so for each Bionicle set, you had to build the figure in a STARS form, and you had to do so with a certain number of pieces. Because this was a Titan set, I was able to use up to 45 pieces, and I think I used the exact amount here, representing the claws with the Mystica claw pieces here, and of course making sure that he can open his mouth far and wide. It doesn't have any sort of red tongue, but I mean, you could put a red socket in here if you really wanted to represent that as well. And as you can see, the upper arms are actually connected to the upper jaw as well. So, but yeah, that star's arm is completely broken. I have just decided to try using acetone to see if it'll weld it together. I've never had success with that, by the way. I would not recommend doing it, but I have acetone, figured I'd use it. That doesn't work. I'll try super glue. That also doesn't work because I've tried that before in the past. So let's talk about stars for a minute and just the Agori / Avmatoran platform in general. At first thought, I like it. I don't hate the platform. I think it is something with a lot of potential. It's very, simple, right? But for a $7 set at the time, or maybe it was even less than that, for an Avmatoran or an Agori set, you did get a decent amount out of it. I think the Agori did better with it because you got more stuff out of it, more unique builds, more colorful builds, using the platform in different ways, like with Zesk or with Tarduk to kind of like bend the characters over. Even I could say with Teleris, at least giving us some suggestion of him being a Glatorian with bendable elbows, or Kerbraz, Kerbold, which is not an official Bionicle that was sold in stores, but is an official character that also has bendable elbows as well. And you can vaguely see him in the corner. The problem I have with the stars as a whole, however, is the fragility of them. And honestly, I do not know how LEGO didn't see this in playtesting. But even if they hadn't, how long were that style of socket out? 2008 gave us that socket. 2009 gave us that socket. 2010 gave us that socket. So for 3 years, LEGO very easily could have realized the problem at some point and said, oh, hey, we're going to pull these sets off the shelf. I understand that that's a pain and it's expensive, right? But it's something they've done before. There are sets that LEGO has had come out in the past that they've had to pull it off shelves to fix something. Either it's recalls or something even worse where it's a part that's broken, a part that's missing, whatever the case, right? And if it's a part that's missing, usually LEGO can give you a replacement. But if it's a part that's broken or fundamentally flawed, they usually will just pull the set off the shelf entirely and eat the cost producing new ones. So that is something that they have done before. It's not the ideal solution, but when you make a toy that's for children that now has breakable parts, does that not pose like a choking hazard? I understand it's LEGO anyway. It all poses a choking hazard, but it's just such a weird, at the end of the day, they didn't handle it super well. And the other thing that I've noticed too, especially later in Bionicle's timeline and just LEGO's in general, is that it felt like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it felt like parts became more and more fragile as time went on. And what I mean by that is I've had sockets from pre-2007, not using the lime or Mata blue or white from 2007 that are all fairly prone to cracking, but even other colors where the sockets would crack, but they're still the normal style of socket. Or, for example, if you want to think about the Toa Mata foot, the original ones versus the Stars version that came out later, the Stars version actually technically has more plastic than the 2001 version. So in theory, it should be a stronger socket, not a weaker socket, but it isn't. I have had more Stars Mata feet break than any other. Now I have had Mata feet sockets break, and given how old they are, it is to be expected that the plastic is not going to hold up forever. I get that. But colors like Mata brown, Mata green, specifically, those two I've had a decent amount of those crack in the past, but for the most part, that's about it. So there are obviously, chemical changes, there are color effects that are going to cause problems. But at the end of the day, when you design a socket that looks like this, that has these corners on it, at some point you are going to focus the force that it takes, the stress that it takes when inserting a ball into the socket at those corners or at the points where those corners are not, right? And so the nice thing about a sphere is that when you try to crush a sphere, it basically pushes out equally on all. There's no, I don't know the exact description of this, but there's no point at which the sphere should collapse because the entire sphere's integrity is perfect, if that makes sense, right? But if you had like a can, right, like a soda can or something, it's hard to crush in this direction. Everybody's seen that video, but it's very easy to crush in that direction, right? Because it's not a perfect sphere. It's not ideal in its surface area. Anyway, I don't know I don't have the terminology to describe what I'm trying to describe here. But the point I'm trying to make is that round sockets to me make a lot more sense structurally speaking than angular sockets, because angular sockets are going to focus the stress of that socket expanding at a certain point. And the worst part about this too is that I have a bin up there full of old sockets from 2001 and even prior that have never broken, and yet I have used CCBS sockets that have snapped. I have used sockets from 2022 or 3 whenever they changed over to the new one that has no hole in it at all, where the socket is, I mean, and I've had those crack. So what is going on here, you know? Anyway, I'm not saying that Lego like it has some sort of quality control problem, because I don't necessarily believe that's the case. They're a massive company. They service, you know, so many different themes, so many different. It's hard to get that all right logistically. Like, I am impressed at how well Lego can handle this stuff. I do think that this stuff needs revisions in the future. Even the development of another type of plastic for Lego, specifically for ball and socket joints, right? They use polypropylene for softer plastic pieces like this for specific reasons. They use different plastics for transparent pieces. So if you want something specifically for a ball and socket, why not develop a plastic specifically for a ball and socket, right? Rather than relying on the ABS you might already have, you know, go with something that's tried and true, you know, that's been tested over time. It's just a thought, and I think this applies to not CCBS, Mixel sockets as well, that you know, I've had those crack obviously as well. I think many people have, especially older ones. They've gotten better. I do want to say that. And I've seen a lot of mold changes specifically in the last like 3 years or so with Technic specifically to address the problems with older pieces cracking. New pins that feel a little greasy, a little weird, but not bad by any means. Now there are some pieces that I have problems with. I don't have the connector here to show. Well, I can grab it. I guess, why not? It's on the big guy, so it's difficult. But on the Balrog Spider, oh, you can't even really see it from here. But this connector right here, it's not brand new. This one came in the John Deere tractor, the small one. And you can see that there's no like cutaway in the middle there. Now, there is a mold mark there, a sprue mark, which is kind of annoying. They should have put that on the inside. I don't know why they didn't. But what's worse about this piece specifically is that the pin holes in it have way less friction. So even when I'm using like a friction pin, in some cases, it'll just droop. Like, it's so weird. Now, maybe that's been fixed, and I know my chair is rocking like crazy. So maybe that's something that they will fix in the future. I know that they've been continually modifying these pieces, and I'm very thankful for that, because there's so many Technic sets that I've bought in the past that I basically can't build anymore because the parts have broken, the parts have snapped. There's a model that I want to do a review on of one of my mocks for my oh, let me show you this because it is really cool, and I apologize for the chair being squeaky. I can't help it. Oh, okay. So I want to do a review, and yes, I'm going to be spoiling this. Oh no, did that just break? It's fine. I want to do a review on this build that I did a while ago, but there are so many broken pieces in here that mostly thin lift arms specifically. Those obviously have the worst track record when it comes to breaking as Technic pieces. But this set, the build on this is really intricate because of the function in the set itself. And yes, one of the wheels fell off when I picked it up. Again, it's because of a broken lift arm. So that tells you exactly what the problem is. But with this set specifically, there's a little orange button down here that you press down on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this well on camera given the way I'm holding it, but I'll just pull it the other way. But the whole figure opens up so that you can actually set a McDonald's Matoran inside of it. I guess we're doing a little mini review. And it's something I've wanted to complete for a long time, but I just really haven't been able to because I've gotten so frustrated with all of the different broken lift arms. And it's not like I'm stressing the pieces out. Nothing in here is stressed. Everything is connected in a legal way. Everything is connected in ways that they are designed to be, but the parts in general just break. You know, and it's plastic. At the end of the day, it's gonna happen. Like, I'm not mad when it happens. I'm just mad when it happens in mass, right? Like, you can see right here alone, just where an axle's been sitting here for a while. But those pieces shouldn't just break because there's an axle inserted. They should break when they're torqued or something, you know? And these pieces haven't been. So that bothers me. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the video. I could go on a rant all day about this kind of stuff. And if you guys did enjoy the video, hey, let me know. I'm more than willing to talk about this kind of stuff and my thoughts in the future. I want to do more videos kind of like this as well, but I do want to tie them into my builds to the best of my abilities. And yeah, one more thing. I'll go ahead and mention it. Why not? Sneak it into the end here, and then I'll mention it in another video too. First of all, make sure you subscribe. But unrelated to that, related to Bionicle stuff, there's another project I want to take on. It's definitely a long form project, but it has to do with 2007 specifically. So I think that for my channel, for YouTube specifically, although I build Rahi, it is what I'm most known for, I do build in other styles as well. And surprisingly, the Rahi videos don't actually do that well on the channel. I imagine they'll pick up with time, but there are so many Rahi videos that I've put out in the past, and I don't think a single one I really don't know if any have broken like 1,000 views, which is not bad for my channel. I'm not complaining about it. But when I can put out videos that predictably get 1,000 views, because I know specifically what they're about and what people are going to be interested in, I know what kind of videos that I can cater. And so the Mystica builds, for example, all of those, except for Kopaka so far, because I just released that one, but all of those have went well above 1,000 views, and rightfully so. I think they're good builds. But my next focus is either going to be 2007 revamps and mocks, or 2009 revamps, mocks, and expansions, meaning to actually draw out the 2009 building year, if you will, right? So what I mean by that is designing dinosaur-like Rahi for 2009, giving us, you know, the dinosaurs that we were not promised but were hinted at, designing the elemental lords or elemental beasts, whatever, or not beasts, I don't know why I can't think of them, but I like the Ice Lord up there. Anyway, designing stuff like that. There's also some story aspects that I have headcanon that I want to push forward as some other, and that's a video that's coming up here really soon, so I don't want to get too much into that. But long story short, I have a whole separate team of Glatorian already fully designed. They're not built yet, but they're designed in studio, and I would love to put those out for you guys to see as well. And so I think that content would be really good. They're not as like in depth as my Mystica mocks, because those are revamped specifically. These would be more along the lines of like set releases, but they're still really cool either way. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel out a lot. And of course, share this one if you enjoyed it. And as always, my links for Discord and Instagram in the description below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.